You understand what that relationship was now. You have seen through them. The person that you are thinking about, the narcissist, they were so mean. They used you, they tricked you, they cheated. They took money that were supposed to be shared and used it for themselves. You saw through them eventually, and you have educated yourself about abuse and toxicity. Yet, sometimes when you think about them, or if you come in contact with them in any way, you may feel this pull, like there is something drawing you towards them, or that there is something special between you in the connection, almost like there is something magical there. Why does this happen? In this video, I will explain why this is happening and why it is not a sign. In a normal relationship, there is companionship, affection, arguments, of course, but there is an emotional connection and understanding between you that grows over the years. Of course, the falling in love phase is always magical in any relationship, but then it grows into an everyday companionship between the two of you. But in a toxic, with the narcissist, that was not the case. Of course, the beginning was magical. Perhaps more amazing than any other relationship you experienced. But after that, it was like they pulled back or withdrew from you slowly over the course of the relationship, until them being affectionate, or them touching you or kissing you or looking you in the eye, or being nice to you even, or listening to you for 5 minutes, attentive when you spoke about your day, that became so rare that, and because of that rarity, it started to feel really special. Also, you could never predict when they would turn nice and affectionate, when you would have a magical time with them. And that made it even more special when it showed up. This is the same thing that happens when you gamble with money or play the lottery and your number suddenly comes up unexpectedly. You get a kick of dopamine. It feels really good and exciting. And that same feeling was connected to them whenever they would turn the nice face on. Your body reacted in that way. Also, that person, they became so important to your well-being because their mood would control how your day went. So if they were in a bad mood, you would feel really bad and uncertain and insecure, anxious. But if there was a good day, you would feel relieved, you would feel hope that things were improving, and you would be more drawn to them because of these ups and downs. The mechanisms of the trauma bond is formed. So this person, your mind, your brain thought that they were more important than any other person in your life because apparently their moods controlled how your day went. So all of these mechanisms are still remembered in your body and brain. When you think about this person, when you suddenly hear their voice in the phone. I hope you're not. I hope you are able to be no contact, but I know that some of you are not. And then when you get in contact with them, all of these mechanisms are still triggered. So this has nothing to do with willpower. It is actually your nervous system not being safe around them. These feelings that these feelings that come up when in connection with them, it is all signs that your nervous system is still affected by the abuse and by the maltreatment, even though it is showing up in a confusing way. And the safest thing to do is, if you're able to be no contact, not being exposed to these dynamics anymore, or diminish the contact as much as possible. If you're not able to be no contact, look into grey rocking. Then you will have some rules for yourself. If you're still feeling tied or drawn to a person who abused you, that does not mean that you're weak or that you were partly responsible for the abuse that happened. This happens to all of us, and it is a result of the abuse. So it is not a reason for why you were abused. These dynamics showed up after you went through the abuse. And as I said, it is so common. When I separated from my ex-husband, I was so determined to leave. First of all, I was really afraid to ever meet him again by myself. I was sure that he would hurt me. And then I was afraid of myself, because I knew that when he would sweet talk me, I wouldn't be able to resist, which is really dumb, because we're talking about a man who tried to end my life, who tried to harm my kids, who showed over years that he did not want good things for me. He wanted to cause as much pain and damage to me as possible, and who enjoyed hurting me. So this was that guy, and I knew those things logically, but I still also knew that I could not trust myself to be close to him because of these dynamics that had been trained into me over 21 years. It was like Pavlov's, the scientist who made the experiments with the dogs. He had a whistle, and he would blow the whistle when it was time for food. And he did that during a period. And then he would remove the food, and he would only blow the whistle. And the dogs would continue to salivate every time that the whistle was blown, even though they knew that there was no food coming. But that signal had been trained into them to elicit a certain response. And that was sort of like how my body reacted, or my mind and body. One time, it was probably 4 months after the separation, I found myself not planned. So I went immediately, no contact and no phone, no talks on the phone, so only in writing. But during the process of separating, he had another person, or a religious person, called me to work out the details regarding the divorce. And then my ex-husband took the phone from this guy. And I suddenly found myself in a conversation with him, hearing his voice. And he asked me, "So what is it that you want from me?" And I started to explain that, well, I want what I wanted all the time. I want peace in my home. I don't want any arguments. I don't want to walk on eggshells. But I felt myself drawn into this conversation with him and feeling really so against my wishes, or it feels like going into the fog, some say. Oh, let's see. There is some, this always happens. It feels like they cast a spell on you. And I had no idea where that conversation was going, but something happened and the call was disconnected. And that really saved me. I don't know if I would have been able to end it, but it was going somewhere that, so it felt like he was about to regain control over my mind. In that conversation, that was the last time we spoke to each other, and as I said, the call was disconnected in the middle of the conversation, and I don't think that he pressed any button, because he probably felt that he was getting me to talk to him and regaining control. And I did not press any button, but it was divine intervention saving me from myself. But it doesn't matter how much you know. This is something that is trained into your nervous system. So don't beat yourself up. Try to take precautions so that you have to take those measures for yourself, so that you make sure that you keep yourself safe from yourself, from your own the programming, and have a plan for what to do if there is a contact. If you're still feeling very affected by this pull, I do have a free video explaining the trauma bond. I will link it here in the end. And I also have put together a kit that I call the Trauma Bond Breaker Kit that you can find. I will link it in the description. That kit is more supportive. So sometimes it's not enough that we know what is going on. Sometimes we need more practical tools and support. So that is what I put together in that kit. Yeah, I think that was it. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Emma, and yeah, I will link here in the end the free video about the trauma bond if you want to watch that. See you in the next video.